Have you ever wondered why some people naturally command attention the moment they speak? Why their words seem to inspire, influence, and move entire teams to action? The secret isn't just what they say, it's how they say it. Imagine if you could unlock that power in your own voice. What could you achieve? In this audiobook, you'll discover the proven strategies to talk like a leader, so you can inspire trust, communicate with confidence, and lead with impact. Get ready to transform your voice and your life. Chapter 1. The Power of Present Speak. So others listen. In a quiet boardroom, a young manager named Ria stood to present her vision. She had the numbers. She had the data. But within minutes, her audience's eyes began to drift, checking phones, scribbling notes, waiting for the meeting to end. Across the hall, her colleague, a senior executive named Vikram, walked into a similar room. No slides, no charts, just his voice, calm and confident. Within seconds, all eyes were on him. He spoke, and the room leaned in. What was the difference? It wasn't experience. It wasn't charisma alone. It was presence. Presence is the invisible force that makes people stop scrolling, start listening, and genuinely care about what you say. It's not about being loud. It's about being undeniably felt. What is leadership presence? Leadership presence isn't just how you look or sound. It's how you make people feel when you speak. A leader's words carry weight, not because they're perfect, but because they're grounded in clarity, intention, and belief. People don't follow ideas. They follow conviction. They follow presence. Brené Brown once said, "Clear is kind, unclear is unkind." A leader communicates with clarity because they respect the listener's time, trust, and attention. The silent signals what you say before you speak. Here's the truth. You begin speaking long before words leave your mouth. Your posture, your expression, your pace as you walk into a room, all of it sends signals. Leaders master these nonverbal cues. Stand tall, not stiff, but strong. Shoulders back, spine aligned. Eye contact, not dominance, but connection. Speak to people, not at them. Calm movement. Fidgeting shows nervousness. Stillness conveys strength. Remember, presence is felt. It radiates when you're fully present, not rehearsed, not distracted. When you listen deeply before responding, when you pause instead of rushing, when your body and your words speak the same language, that's when you truly speak like a leader. The tone that shapes trust. Now let's talk about your tone. Research shows that 38% of communication impact comes from tone of voice. Leaders don't speak in high-pitched uncertainty or flat monotony. Their voice is measured, intentional, and alive with belief in their message. Here's how to practice a leader's tone. Drop filler words. Like, and, you know, dilute your power. Emphasize keywords. Anchor your sentences. Let them land. Breathe. It centers your tone. It grounds your message. Try this. Next time you speak, imagine you're planting thoughts into someone's mind. Speak slowly enough for each word to take root. Real-world story. The quiet voice that commanded a nation. Think of Mahatma Gandhi. He wasn't loud. He didn't bark orders. But his presence commanded attention. His voice, soft, unwavering, moved millions. Why? Because every word came from deep intention. He believed in what he said. And that belief made others believe too. True leadership speech is not about domination. It's about alignment. When your voice, your energy, and your values speak in one united rhythm. Micro practices to build presence. Start today. Small shifts lead to powerful change. Here are 3 micro practices to build leadership presence. The grounded pause. Before any meeting or conversation, pause. Breathe. Feel your feet, then speak. One message rule. Enter any conversation with one clear message in mind. Don't clutter it. Deliver it. Mirror listening. Before responding, mirror the last thing someone said in your mind. It sharpens your focus and builds trust. Final thought. Speak from within. To talk like a leader, you don't need fancy words. You need inner alignment. When your words reflect your values, your voice reflects your calm, and your presence reflects your integrity. People listen. Because at the end of the day, leadership communication isn't about impressing. It's about impacting. Chapter 2. Commanding clarity. Say less, mean more. Leaders don't ramble, they resonate. When a true leader speaks, their words land like stones dropped in still water. Clear, deliberate, unforgettable. Clarity is not about using complex vocabulary or long-winded explanations. It's about making your message so simple and strong that it sticks in the listener's mind long after you've stopped speaking. Think of the greatest speeches in history. They weren't long, they were powerful because they were clear. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't say, "I have a multi-tiered dream with various stages of societal transformation." He said, "I have a dream." 4 words, endless impact. Clarity is about making ideas accessible, digestible, and emotionally charged. Most people confuse speaking more with saying more, but great leaders do the opposite. They distill, refine, and sharpen their thoughts until they can cut through noise and leave no confusion behind. Imagine walking into a team meeting and saying, "Our focus this quarter is simple. Improve client retention by 15%. That's a clear message. Everyone knows the target. No fluff, no fog, just purpose." People follow clarity because it feels like certainty, and certainty breeds confidence. But clarity isn't just about what you say. It's about what you choose not to say. Leaders know how to edit themselves. They remove the filler, the clutter, the sideways tangents. They don't talk to be heard. They speak to be understood. And understanding only happens when the message is stripped of excess and delivered like a clean, precise arrow. Here's a practical strategy. Before any conversation, write your key message in 1 sentence. Then build your language around that sentence like a backbone. If what you're about to say doesn't support that core message, cut it. In high-stakes communication, this matters even more. Whether you're speaking to investors, teams, or the media, clarity can be the difference between buy-in and blank stares. Even in conflict, clarity diffuses tension. Instead of saying, "Well, I think maybe we should probably reconsider our approach if everyone agrees," say, "Let's reassess our strategy now and confirm a new direction by Friday." That's leadership. Clarity is also emotional. It tells people you respect their time, their energy, their attention. It signals that you value directness and don't waste words. In an age where noise dominates, clarity feels like relief. Steve Jobs was a master at this. He didn't just say Apple made products. He said, "It just works." 3 words that embodied an entire philosophy. When you speak clearly, you build trust because people feel safe when they understand. They lean in, they feel included. So ask yourself, every time you open your mouth, am I adding noise or delivering value? Am I speaking from ego or from purpose? Say less, mean more. That's how leaders lead conversations, not with quantity, but with clarity. Chapter 3. The Art of Listening. Speak less, lead more. Great leaders aren't defined by how much they speak, but by how deeply they listen. In fact, the most powerful voices in any room are often the ones that speak last, after absorbing everything. Listening is a superpower that transforms communication from a monologue into a dialogue, from control into connection. Yet most people don't truly listen. They wait to reply, they nod without hearing, they hear sounds but miss the meaning. A leader listens with their whole presence. They lean in. They make people feel seen. Because leadership is not about proving how much you know. It's about understanding what others need. When you listen well, people feel valued, respected, and trusted. And in return, they open up, they engage, they contribute more. Think about it. Have you ever spoken to someone who made you feel like you were the only person in the world in that moment? That's leadership. That's influence. Real listening means no interruptions, no judgment, and no mental rehearsing of what you'll say next. It's about silence that supports, not silence that waits. One of the most admired CEOs of the last decade, Satya Nadella of Microsoft, said, "Listen more, talk less, and be decisive when the time comes." That mindset transformed not only his leadership style but the entire culture of Microsoft. Listening creates space. And in that space, people bring their ideas, their concerns, their truths. It's in those unsaid words that the real insights live. Leaders mind that silence. They don't fear pauses. They use them to process, reflect, and respond with precision. One powerful listening tool is reflective listening. When someone speaks, you summarize what you've heard before responding. It shows you care enough to check for understanding before moving forward. It disarms defensiveness. It builds bridges. Imagine a team member says, "I feel like my work isn't being recognized." And instead of brushing it off, you say, "So, what I'm hearing is that you're putting in the effort, but not feeling appreciated. Is that right?" That alone can shift the entire emotional atmosphere. Listening is also about noticing what's not being said. The tension in someone's voice, the hesitation in their words, the emotion behind their silence. A leader listens beyond words. And when they do speak, their words are richer, wiser, and more impactful because they're rooted in empathy and awareness. Want to lead better? Listen better. In every meeting, ask more than you tell. In every conversation, focus more on understanding than responding. And remember, people don't remember everything you said, but they always remember how deeply you listened. Because in leadership, silence isn't absence, it's attention. And attention is the gateway to influence. Chapter 4. Emotional Intelligence. Speak to hearts, not just minds. Logic makes people think, but emotion makes them act. Leaders who talk like leaders don't just appeal to reason. They touch hearts. They stir emotions. They move people from within. Emotional intelligence is the invisible language behind every powerful message, the silent current that carries your words into someone's inner world. It's not about being soft. It's about being smart with feelings, your own and others. A leader who lacks emotional intelligence may speak perfectly, but fail miserably to connect. But one who understands emotions can say few words and still ignite loyalty, trust, and respect. Emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness, knowing your triggers, recognizing your emotional patterns, and managing your reactions. When a leader walks into a room upset but doesn't lash out, that's emotional intelligence in action. When a leader notices the discomfort in a team member's eyes and gently asks, "You seem off today. What's going on?" That's emotional intelligence. Words carry energy, and emotionally intelligent leaders are conscious of the energy they project. They understand tone, timing, and emotional context. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. The same words said with compassion land differently than when said with impatience. For example, "We need to fix this," can feel threatening or empowering, depending on your tone and presence. Emotionally intelligent communication also means adapting your language to the emotional state of the other person. If someone is anxious, you don't overwhelm them with logic. You first acknowledge their emotion, then guide them toward calm. If someone's excited, you don't dampen their spirit. You align with their energy and then focus it. One of the greatest tools a leader can use is empathetic language. Phrases like, "I understand how that must feel," or "That sounds frustrating," Let's work through it together. Build connection instantly. You're not fixing the problem yet. You're showing the person they're not alone in it. That emotional bridge creates trust. Great leaders also speak with vulnerability when it's appropriate. Sharing a struggle, admitting a mistake, or expressing gratitude isn't weakness. It's human leadership. People follow leaders they relate to, not those who pretend to be perfect. Imagine your team hears you say, "I used to struggle with the same challenge you're facing now. Here's what helped me." That instantly breaks down barriers. Emotional intelligence in speech also includes reading the room. Sometimes silence is more powerful than speech. Sometimes a pause communicates more than a paragraph. Emotional intelligence means knowing when to speak, when to wait, when to lean in, and when to let someone else lead the moment. To truly talk like a leader, develop the emotional depth behind your words. Connect before you correct. Relate before you redirect. Understand before you advise. Because in the end, leadership is not about commanding minds. It's about capturing hearts. Chapter 5. Storytelling that inspires action. Facts tell, but stories sell. This is the golden rule of leadership communication. When a leader speaks in data, they may inform the mind. But when they speak in story, they ignite the soul. Storytelling isn't a soft skill. It's a leadership superpower. It turns ordinary communication into emotional experience. It transforms dry messages into meaningful missions. And most importantly, it creates movements, not just meetings. Think of the greatest leaders in history. They didn't just issue commands or quote statistics. They told stories that shaped vision, identity, and belief. Mahatma Gandhi told a story of peaceful resistance that united millions. Nelson Mandela's life itself became a story of forgiveness and strength. Every time Steve Jobs launched a product, he wasn't just presenting features. He was telling a story of innovation, rebellion, and human potential. Story gives your message a heartbeat. It allows people to see themselves in the vision. It invites them into the journey. The structure is simple. Every great story has a beginning, a challenge, and a resolution. Start with a relatable moment. Introduce a struggle or conflict, and then deliver the transformation. But storytelling isn't just for speeches or TED Talks. You can use it in everyday leadership. Instead of saying, "Let's improve customer service," say, "Last week, a client told us she waited 15 minutes for help and left frustrated. What if we could rewrite that story for every customer?" That small shift brings your team into a real human moment. Suddenly, the mission has emotion. Storytelling also creates memory. People forget numbers, but they remember how a story made them feel. If you want your message to last, wrap it in a narrative. But remember, authenticity is key. Don't fake stories or exaggerate. Share your own failures, lessons, or moments of growth. Let people see the journey behind the leader. If you once struggled to find your voice, tell that story to someone learning to speak up. If you overcame fear before a big decision, share what helped you move through it. That kind of story doesn't make you look weak. It makes you real, and real is powerful. Great leaders also invite others to tell their stories. In meetings, ask, "Can anyone share a time they overcame a similar challenge?" That brings collaboration, vulnerability, and inspiration into the room. And don't just tell stories. Tie them back to action. End every story with a clear takeaway, a lesson, or a call to move forward. You might say, "That's why we're changing the way we onboard clients, because every interaction shapes our story." That's leadership through narrative. That's how you move people, not by pushing, but by pulling them into a future they can feel. So tell your stories, shape your vision, speak with emotion, because people may admire facts, but they follow stories. Chapter 6. Confidence without arrogance. Own the room gracefully. Commanding attention doesn't require volume. It demands presence. True leaders enter a space with quiet certainty, not loud dominance. Confidence is the invisible force that amplifies your words, even before you speak. It's in your posture, your gaze, your stillness. Yet, it must be paired with humility to become magnetic instead of repellent. Arrogance repels. Confidence attracts. Speaking like a leader requires striking that balance, projecting assurance without superiority. One of the most overlooked traits of powerful communicators is calm certainty. They don't rush. They pause. They give their words weight by honoring silence. They don't try to dominate the conversation. They become a calm center others naturally orbit around. While arrogance seeks to impress, confidence seeks to express. You're not trying to sound smart. You're committed to being clear. You're not competing. You're contributing. Confidence is anchored in preparation, but it's revealed through composure. Leaders who own their message don't overload it with jargon or overcompensate with bravado. They deliver it with clarity and calm. Think of someone who speaks without filler words, who maintains steady eye contact, who gestures with intention instead of nervous energy. That's not showmanship. It's self-assured communication. One secret of this kind of influence is conviction. When you believe deeply in your words, others feel it. Not because you shout, but because your energy aligns with your message. There's no hesitation, no second guessing, no need for approval. But confidence also requires restraint. You don't interrupt to prove your point. You don't deflect to avoid discomfort. You hold the space for others to be seen while remaining anchored in your own truth. That's grace. And grace is rare. If someone disagrees with you, confidence lets them speak. It doesn't panic. It doesn't escalate. It listens, evaluates, and responds with maturity. Grace under pressure is what separates leaders from performers. Another element of confident speech is purposeful pacing. When you slow down, you create impact. Rushing signals insecurity. Speaking with rhythm signals control. If your message matters, deliver it like it does. Every word gets space. Every idea lands. You don't need to explain everything. You trust the silence to echo your point. Confident leaders also know when not to speak. They don't fill every moment. They leave room for thought. And when they do speak, their voice carries intention, not dominance, not decoration, intention. To talk like a leader, own your presence. Walk in with poise, not performance. Speak with grounded belief, not inflated ego. And remember, the most powerful person in the room is often the one most at peace with silence. Chapter 7. Clarity over complexity. Make every word count. Simplicity is not weakness, it's precision. Leaders who communicate effectively strip away the noise and deliver only what matters. They don't overwhelm with layers of explanation or decorate their speech with unnecessary vocabulary. They refine, they distill, they make the complicated feel obvious. When you speak with clarity, you eliminate confusion, reduce friction, and accelerate understanding. Complexity may sound impressive, but clarity gets results. A leader's message should never require decoding. If people need to interpret what you meant, you didn't lead. You left them guessing. The strongest communicators organize thoughts like a sculptor shaping stone, chipping away what doesn't belong until only truth remains. The key is intentional structure. Don't speak in tangents. Anchor your message around one core idea. Support it with relevant details, and close with a focused takeaway. Avoid speaking in circles or chasing intellectual admiration. Speak to enlighten, not to impress. Great leaders often ask, "What's the one thing they must remember after I speak?" Then they build everything around that single beam of insight. When you aim for clarity, metaphors become tools, not distractions. Analogies simplify the unfamiliar, helping others grasp ideas without effort. But even those must serve the idea, not overshadow it. Clarity also means using ordinary language to express extraordinary insight. Don't say utilize when use works better. Don't say endeavor when try is enough. This isn't about dumbing down. It's about leveling up connection. In every conversation, your words either create bridges or barriers. The fewer steps between thought and understanding, the faster people follow your lead. Clarity shows respect. It says, I value your time and attention enough to speak directly. Leaders who master this style don't sound robotic. They sound sharp, intentional, and compelling. They don't repeat themselves unless it's strategic. They don't ramble or circle back unless there's purpose. They prioritize brevity without sacrificing depth. In moments of stress or crisis, clarity becomes even more essential. Vague language breeds fear. Direct communication restores stability. Phrases like, here's what we know, here's what we're doing, here's what to expect, provide calm and focus when people feel uncertain. When your words carry simplicity, they carry speed. Ideas travel faster. Execution becomes easier. Trust builds naturally. To talk like a leader, remove everything that blurs your message. Let your voice be the clean window through which your vision becomes visible. Because when clarity leads, confidence follows. Chapter 8. The Art of Listening Silence That Speaks Volumes. Leadership isn't just about speaking well. It's about listening deeply. True influence blossoms when leaders hear beyond words, tuning into unspoken needs, emotions, and ideas. Effective communication requires a balance between talking and listening. Yet, many leaders fall into the trap of dominating conversations rather than engaging in genuine exchange. Mastering the art of listening means giving others your full attention, setting aside distractions, and welcoming feedback without judgment. It creates space for trust and invites collaboration. When people feel truly heard, they open up, share insights, and become invested in the vision. Listening also offers clues about concerns or misunderstandings that might otherwise derail progress. A leader who listens can respond with empathy and clarity, addressing issues before they escalate. Silence during conversations isn't empty, it's powerful. Pausing after someone speaks allows reflection and signals respect. It encourages others to fill the space with more thoughts or questions. This dynamic of silence and presence strengthens connection and fosters a culture where every voice matters. Leaders who cultivate attentive listening build rapport effortlessly. They validate experiences and show humility by acknowledging they don't have all the answers. This openness invites innovation and collective wisdom. Nonverbal cues, eye contact, nodding, facial expressions, also communicate active listening and create emotional resonance. Interrupting or rushing responses damages rapport and signals disinterest. Instead, patience nurtures thoughtful dialogue and deepens understanding. Listening is not passive. It's an active leadership tool that shapes decisions and strategies. It transforms meetings from monologues into meaningful conversations. When you listen well, your responses become more relevant, your guidance more effective, and your leadership more authentic. Practicing this skill daily not only elevates communication, but also strengthens relationships at every level. To talk like a leader, first learn to listen like one. Silence isn't absence of sound, it's the presence of attention. Chapter 9. Asking powerful questions. Lead through curiosity. Leadership communication is often mistaken for delivering speeches or issuing commands, but one of the most impactful tools a leader possesses is the ability to ask powerful questions. Questions do far more than gather information. They open doors to new perspectives, invite collaboration, and ignite creative problem solving. When you ask thoughtful questions, you shift the dynamic from telling to engaging, from instructing to co-creating. Curiosity becomes your secret weapon, turning conversations into explorations and meetings into opportunities for growth. The power of a question lies in its ability to unlock insight. Unlike statements, which deliver a fixed message, questions encourage reflection and invite the other person to think deeply. They communicate that you value the other person's ideas and input. This gesture builds trust and rapport because it moves the interaction away from a one-way transmission of authority to a two-way exchange. A leader who asks well-crafted questions signals humility and openness, a willingness to learn as well as lead. To talk like a leader, you must move beyond superficial questions like, "How are you?" or "What do you think?" Instead, cultivate questions that are specific, thoughtful, and purpose-driven. Powerful questions often begin with what, how, or why, prompting more than a yes or no answer. For example, instead of asking, "Did you finish the project?" try, "What challenges did you face while working on the project?" Or, "How can we improve the process for next time?" These open-ended questions invite honest reflection and encourage solutions rather than defensiveness. Another important aspect is timing. Knowing when to ask a question is as critical as the question itself. Interrupting someone with a question before they finish can shut down communication. Allow the speaker to complete their thought, then use questions to deepen understanding. Silence after a response can feel uncomfortable, but resist the urge to fill it immediately. Often, that pause encourages more thoughtful answers or reveals hidden concerns. Listening attentively to the answers before jumping in with the next question is essential to showing respect and genuine interest. Asking questions also helps leaders navigate complex situations and difficult conversations. When emotions run high or opinions clash, questions can redirect focus from conflict to curiosity. Instead of reacting defensively, a leader might ask, "Can you help me understand your perspective better?" Or, "What outcome are you hoping for?" This approach diffuses tension and invites collaboration by emphasizing understanding over judgment. It signals that the leader values input and is committed to finding solutions together. Curiosity-driven leadership fosters innovation. When leaders encourage their teams to question assumptions and explore possibilities, they create an environment where ideas flow freely. Questions like, "What if we tried a different approach?" Or, "How might we solve this challenge differently?" spark creative thinking and inspire experimentation. This mindset turns failures into learning opportunities and challenges into stepping stones. Leaders who ask great questions empower their teams to take ownership and contribute meaningfully. Effective questioning also requires emotional intelligence. Recognizing how questions might be perceived and adjusting tone accordingly is vital. A question delivered with impatience or skepticism can shut down dialogue. Conversely, a genuine, respectful tone invites openness. Nonverbal cues, such as maintaining eye contact, nodding, and leaning slightly forward, reinforce your interest and encourage honest responses. Your body language and energy convey just as much as your words. Leaders who master the art of questioning also model curiosity for others. They create a culture where inquiry is celebrated and diverse viewpoints are welcomed. This culture reduces fear of judgment and motivates people to share ideas without hesitation. When questions flow naturally, meetings become dynamic discussions instead of scripted presentations. The collective intelligence of the group surfaces, leading to smarter decisions and stronger alignment. One effective technique is the Socratic method, which involves asking a series of questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate assumptions. This method encourages people to analyze their beliefs and consider alternatives without feeling attacked. For example, during a strategy session, a leader might ask, "What evidence supports this plan?" followed by, "What risks might we be overlooking?" and "How does this align with our long-term goals?" These questions encourage thorough examination and strengthen the final outcome. It's also crucial to balance questions with statements. While inquiry is powerful, overusing questions can feel like interrogation. Knowing when to share your own insights and experiences helps maintain flow and credibility. After gathering perspectives, synthesize ideas, and offer clear guidance to keep progress moving. The best leaders combine curiosity with decisiveness, creating space for dialogue, but ultimately steering toward action. In written communication, such as emails or reports, powerful questions can prompt reflection and collaboration even without face-to-face interaction. Ending a message with a thoughtful question encourages recipients to engage thoughtfully and respond with meaningful input. Questions in writing should be concise and clear to avoid confusion, but still open enough to invite dialogue. In summary, talking like a leader means mastering the art of asking powerful questions. It's about leading through curiosity, inviting others to participate, and creating a space where ideas thrive. Powerful questions deepen relationships, unlock innovation, and navigate conflict with grace. They demonstrate humility and confidence simultaneously. When you develop the habit of asking thoughtful, purposeful questions, you transform conversations from transactions into transformational moments. You become not just a speaker, but a listener and co-creator of progress. Cultivate curiosity, listen deeply, and watch how your leadership influence expands beyond words. Chapter 10. Handling difficult conversations. Staying calm and clear. One of the defining marks of a great leader is the ability to navigate difficult conversations with composure and clarity. Challenges, conflicts, and tough feedback are inevitable, but how you handle these moments determines whether you build respect or resistance. Leaders who talk like leaders don't avoid hard discussions. Instead, they approach them strategically and thoughtfully. The goal is not to win an argument, but to reach understanding and find constructive solutions. When preparing for a difficult conversation, mental preparation is essential. Take a moment to center yourself and clarify your intentions. What outcome do you want? What is the message you must deliver without causing unnecessary hurt or defensiveness? Leaders speak with purpose, choosing words that are firm yet empathetic. They focus on behaviors and facts, not personalities. Saying, "When meetings start late, it affects our deadlines," is more effective than, "You're always late and careless." This shifts the conversation away from blame and toward improvement. Timing and environment also matter. Difficult conversations require privacy and minimal distractions. Choose a setting where both parties feel safe to express themselves openly. Starting the conversation with a calm tone and an acknowledgement of the importance of the discussion helps set the right atmosphere. For example, "I want to talk about something important because I value our work together." This signals respect and opens the door for honest dialogue. During the conversation, active listening is critical. When emotions flare, resist the urge to interrupt or react defensively. Instead, pause, breathe, and seek to understand the other person's perspective. Reflect back what you hear by saying things like, "It sounds like you feel overwhelmed by the workload." This validates feelings and diffuses tension. When people feel heard, they are more likely to listen in return. Maintaining calm under pressure is a skill developed through practice. Deep breathing, grounding techniques, and pausing before responding can prevent emotional reactions from escalating. Remember, your tone conveys just as much as your words. Speaking slowly, clearly, and evenly helps keep the conversation productive. If the discussion becomes heated, it's okay to suggest a break and resume later. This shows maturity and a commitment to resolution rather than conflict. Framing feedback constructively also matters. Use the SBI method: situation, behavior, impact. Describe the specific situation, the observed behavior, and the effect it has. For example, In yesterday's client meeting situation, when you interrupted several times, behavior, it disrupted the flow and caused frustration. Impact. This clear factual approach reduces defensiveness and focuses on outcomes. Problem solving should be collaborative. After airing concerns, invite the other person to share ideas for improvement. Ask, "What do you think would help prevent this in the future?" Or, "How can I support you better?" This turns a challenging talk into a partnership. It reinforces that leadership is about guidance, not control. Follow-up is equally important. Summarize the key points agreed upon and next steps to ensure accountability. Check in periodically to support progress and maintain open communication. Difficult conversations are rarely one-offs. They require ongoing attention and care. By mastering difficult conversations, leaders demonstrate emotional intelligence, respect, and confidence. They turn potential conflicts into opportunities for growth, trust, and stronger relationships. Speaking clearly and calmly during challenges not only resolves issues, but also models professionalism for others. This courage and skill mark the difference between managers who avoid problems and leaders who face them head-on. Chapter 11. Influence and Persuasion. Ethical ways to win support. Leadership is not just about issuing commands. It's about inspiring others to follow willingly. The ability to influence and persuade is essential for leaders who want to create lasting impact. However, ethical leadership requires that influence be earned through respect, integrity, and authenticity, rather than manipulation or coercion. Talking like a leader means mastering persuasion as a tool to build consensus, motivate action, and foster collaboration, all while maintaining trust. At its core, influence is the art of aligning others' interests with your vision or goals. To do this effectively, you must first understand what matters to those you lead. Listening deeply to their concerns, aspirations, and values enables you to tailor your message in a way that resonates. When people see how an idea benefits them or the greater good, they become more open and engaged. Leaders who persuade ethically avoid one-size-fits-all approaches and instead personalize their communication. One powerful principle is reciprocity, the natural human tendency to respond positively when treated fairly and kindly. Leaders who demonstrate generosity with their time, recognition, and support build goodwill that makes influence more natural. Simple acts such as acknowledging contributions or offering help create a foundation of mutual respect. This goodwill isn't transactional, but a genuine connection that strengthens relationships and makes persuasion more effective. Another cornerstone of ethical influence is credibility. Your words carry weight only when backed by honesty, expertise, and consistency. Leaders who promise what they can deliver and admit when they don't know something gain trust. This authenticity makes people more willing to listen and follow. Overpromising or exaggerating may yield short-term compliance, but damages long-term influence and reputation. Clarity and simplicity in messaging are critical for persuasion. Complex jargon or vague statements dilute your impact. Instead, communicate your ideas in clear, straightforward language that everyone can understand. Use compelling stories and concrete examples to illustrate your points and make abstract concepts relatable. A well-told story can move hearts and minds more effectively than facts alone. Emotions play a vital role in persuasion. Facts appeal to logic, but emotions drive motivation. Leaders who connect emotionally inspire enthusiasm and commitment. This doesn't mean manipulation, but empathy, showing genuine concern and aligning your message with values that evoke passion. For instance, highlighting how a project will improve people's lives or contribute to a meaningful purpose can galvanize support. Social proof is another effective influence technique. People tend to follow the lead of those they respect or see as similar to themselves. Sharing examples of respected peers endorsing an idea or demonstrating success can build momentum. Leaders who showcase team achievements and testimonials create a sense of community and shared purpose that encourages others to join in. Timing also matters in persuasion. Introducing ideas when people are most receptive increases the chances of acceptance. Pay attention to moods, external events, and organizational climate. Sometimes, planting seeds early and allowing time for reflection leads to better outcomes than pushing for immediate agreement. Patience and persistence combined with respect for others' pace are marks of influential leaders. Ethical persuasion also involves inviting dialogue and feedback. Instead of insisting on agreement, encourage questions, concerns, and alternative viewpoints. This inclusive approach not only enriches decisions, but strengthens buy-in because people feel heard and valued. Leaders who create safe spaces for open communication foster trust and collective ownership of outcomes. Lastly, influence is about empowering others, not controlling them. Leaders who use persuasion to foster autonomy and growth build loyal, motivated teams. Offering choices, supporting development, and recognizing efforts motivate people intrinsically. When individuals feel empowered rather than pressured, their commitment is genuine and sustainable. In summary, talking like a leader requires mastering influence and persuasion through ethical means. It is about listening carefully, communicating clearly, and connecting emotionally. It demands authenticity, respect, and a commitment to the greater good. By aligning others' interests with your vision and fostering collaboration, you inspire action that lasts. Ethical influence builds trust, strengthens relationships, and creates environments where everyone thrives. Practice these principles and watch how your ability to lead through persuasion transforms both your message and your impact. Chapter 12. Storytelling, captivate, and inspire through stories. Stories have been humanity's most powerful form of communication for thousands of years. They engage the imagination, evoke emotions, and help people remember important lessons. Leaders who talk like leaders know how to harness storytelling to captivate their audience, inspire action, and build deep connections. Unlike dry facts or data, stories bring ideas to life by making them relatable and memorable. To tell a compelling story, start with a clear purpose. What message do you want to convey? What feeling or insight should your audience walk away with? Every story should have a point that aligns with your leadership goals. Whether you are motivating a team, introducing change, or illustrating a lesson, your story should serve that purpose. Structure is key. Most effective stories follow a simple arc: a beginning that sets the scene, a middle where a challenge or conflict arises, and an ending that offers resolution or insight. This pattern creates tension and release, keeping listeners engaged. For example, recounting a personal challenge you overcame can humanize you and illustrate perseverance in action. Authenticity is vital. Stories resonate most when they feel genuine. Share experiences from your own journey or the experiences of those you've worked with, always respecting privacy and confidentiality. Authenticity builds trust and allows listeners to see your humanity, making your leadership more approachable and credible. Use vivid details to paint a mental picture. Describe sights, sounds, emotions, and actions to immerse your audience in the story. Instead of saying, "We faced a big problem," say, "The deadline was just hours away, the team was exhausted, and morale was low." These sensory details create empathy and help others put themselves in your shoes. Emotion drives connection. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. A good story stirs feelings of hope, determination, pride, or even caution. When telling stories, be mindful of the emotional journey you want to create. Use pauses, changes in tone, and expressive body language to emphasize key moments. Keep your stories concise and relevant. Avoid unnecessary tangents or overly long narratives that lose attention. Focus on elements that support your message and inspire your listeners to think or act differently. After telling a story, tie it back to the main point clearly so the lesson is unmistakable. Stories also create shared identity. When leaders share experiences, they build a sense of belonging and purpose within the team. Stories about company history, core values, or collective successes remind everyone why their work matters. These narratives strengthen culture and motivate people to contribute their best. Encourage others to share their stories as well. Creating a culture of storytelling fosters openness and learning. When team members feel heard and valued, engagement and collaboration improve. Leaders who listen and validate stories demonstrate empathy and build stronger relationships. Incorporate storytelling into presentations, meetings, and casual conversations. It's not just for formal speeches, but a versatile leadership skill that makes all communications more impactful. Practicing storytelling sharpens your communication, helping you speak like a leader who inspires trust and action. Mastering storytelling means blending logic and emotion, facts and feelings, vision and reality. It's an art that sets great leaders apart by making messages unforgettable. Start by identifying your stories, practicing delivery, and paying attention to audience response. Over time, storytelling becomes a natural and powerful part of your leadership voice. Chapter 13. Mastering Nonverbal Communication. Speak without words. What you say matters, but how you say it often speaks louder than words themselves. Nonverbal communication, the unspoken signals you send through body language, facial expressions, eye contact, and tone of voice, plays a crucial role in leadership. Leaders who talk like leaders understand that mastering these silent messages can enhance their influence, build trust, and project confidence even before they speak. Body language is the foundation of nonverbal communication. Standing tall with an open posture conveys confidence and approachability. Avoid crossing your arms or slouching, which can signal defensiveness or disinterest. When you walk into a room, purposeful movements and a relaxed demeanor set a tone of control and calmness that others naturally respect. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools leaders possess. Maintaining appropriate eye contact shows attentiveness, honesty, and engagement. It creates connection and makes listeners feel valued. However, too much staring can feel intimidating, so it's important to balance gaze with natural breaks. When you look away thoughtfully or nod occasionally, it signals active listening and sincerity. Facial expressions reveal your true feelings and often speak louder than your carefully chosen words. A genuine smile can warm a room and ease tension, while a furrowed brow or tight lips might communicate concern or displeasure. Leaders who manage their expressions consciously can steer conversations positively and demonstrate emotional awareness. The tone and pace of your voice also communicate volumes. Speaking too quickly may signal nervousness or impatience, while a slow, steady voice projects calm authority. Varying your pitch and volume helps keep listeners engaged and emphasizes key points. Avoid monotone delivery, which can bore or disengage your audience. Gestures add emphasis and clarity to your spoken message. Using your hands to illustrate points or convey enthusiasm makes communication more dynamic and memorable. However, avoid excessive or distracting movements that can dilute your message or make you appear anxious. Proxemics. The physical distance you maintain during interactions also impacts communication. Respecting personal space helps others feel comfortable and respected. Invading space too soon or standing too far away may create discomfort or barriers. Adjust your distance based on context, culture, and the relationship you share. Mirroring is a subtle but effective nonverbal technique where you reflect the body language, tone, or expressions of the person you're communicating with. This builds rapport and signals empathy. Leaders who master mirroring make others feel understood and create smoother, more trusting interactions. Silence, often overlooked, is a powerful nonverbal tool. Pausing after making a key point allows your message to sink in. Silence also shows confidence and control, giving others space to process or respond. Avoid filling every gap with words. Instead, use silence strategically to enhance your leadership presence. Awareness of your nonverbal cues begins with self-observation and feedback. Record yourself during practice or ask trusted colleagues how you come across. Small adjustments in posture, expression, or tone can dramatically improve how your message is received. In stressful situations, nonverbal signals often betray true feelings. Leaders who maintain composed, open body language, even under pressure, inspire confidence and calm others. This emotional regulation through nonverbal cues is a hallmark of effective leadership communication. Ultimately, mastering nonverbal communication enhances your overall speaking skills. It creates alignment between what you say and how you say it, making your message more authentic and persuasive. Leaders who control both verbal and nonverbal channels become magnetic communicators who inspire loyalty and action without needing to shout. Chapter 14. Building Rapport Quickly. The art of connection, effective leadership communication, hinges on the ability to build rapport swiftly and genuinely. Rapport is the invisible thread that connects people, fostering trust, openness, and cooperation. Leaders who talk like leaders understand that before any ideas can be shared or decisions made, establishing this connection is essential. Rapport breaks down barriers, creates psychological safety, and turns conversations into collaborative experiences. The first step in building rapport is genuine interest. People can sense when you are truly curious about them versus merely going through the motions. Asking open-ended questions about their experiences, thoughts, and feelings signals that you value their perspective. For example, instead of asking, "Did you complete the task?" try, "How did you find the process of completing the task?" This invites deeper conversation and shows respect. Active listening is fundamental to connection. It goes beyond hearing words to fully understanding the speaker's message and emotions. Leaders demonstrate active listening by maintaining eye contact, nodding, summarizing key points, and asking clarifying questions. These behaviors communicate attentiveness and validate the other person's contributions, making them feel seen and heard. Mirroring is another powerful rapport-building tool. Subtly reflecting the other person's body language, tone, and speech patterns creates a sense of familiarity and comfort. For instance, if they speak softly and calmly, matching that tone signals empathy and reduces resistance. Mirroring must be natural and respectful. Overdoing it can appear insincere or mocking. Finding common ground accelerates rapport. Shared interests, values, or experiences create instant bonds. Leaders can discover these by paying attention to what others say and mentioning relatable anecdotes or mutual goals. Expressing genuine enthusiasm about shared topics builds camaraderie and breaks down hierarchical barriers. Adaptability is key. Different people respond to different styles of communication. Some prefer directness, others need warmth and reassurance. Skilled leaders read social cues and adjust their approach accordingly, whether it's using more humor, formality, or detailed explanations. This flexibility demonstrates emotional intelligence and respect for diversity. Nonverbal cues also contribute to rapport. A warm smile, relaxed posture, and appropriate gestures signal openness and friendliness. Avoid crossing arms or checking your watch, which can signal disinterest or impatience. Small behaviors like these have a big impact on how approachable and trustworthy you appear. Establishing rapport quickly is especially critical in new or high-stakes situations such as meetings, interviews, or negotiations. First impressions form within seconds, and leaders who master the art of connection create a positive atmosphere that influences the entire interaction. Sharing something personal or vulnerable in appropriate doses can deepen rapport. When leaders reveal a relevant challenge or lesson learned, it humanizes them and invites others to open up. This reciprocity fosters mutual trust and strengthens bonds. Building rapport isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing process. Consistently showing respect, empathy, and interest nurtures long-term relationships. Leaders who prioritize rapport create networks of loyalty and cooperation that fuel team performance and innovation. In conclusion, talking like a leader means mastering the art of connection through genuine interest, active listening, mirroring, and adaptability. Building rapport quickly sets the foundation for influence and collaboration. When people feel connected, they become more engaged, motivated, and willing to follow your lead. Practice these techniques daily and watch your leadership presence grow stronger with every conversation. Chapter 15. Communicating Vision. Paint the future clearly. A leader's true power lies in their ability to communicate a clear and compelling vision that inspires others to follow. Vision is the roadmap to the future, a vivid picture of what success looks like and why it matters. Leaders who talk like leaders don't just manage the present. They paint a future so attractive and tangible that people feel motivated to strive for it. Communicating vision effectively turns abstract goals into shared purpose. Start by defining your vision in simple, relatable terms. Avoid jargon or overly complex language that clouds meaning. The best visions are clear, concise, and easy to grasp. For example, instead of saying, "We will optimize operational synergies to achieve competitive advantage," say, "We will work smarter together to deliver the best service to our customers." This clarity helps people internalize and rally around the vision. Use vivid imagery and metaphors to bring your vision to life. When leaders describe the future in sensory detail, what it looks like, feels like, and even sounds like, it becomes more real and inspiring. For instance, painting a picture of a workplace buzzing with creativity and teamwork engages the imagination and stirs enthusiasm. Connect your vision to values and purpose. People are more motivated when they see how the vision aligns with their personal beliefs or the greater good. Leaders who emphasize the positive impact on customers, communities, or team members tap into deep emotional drivers that sustain commitment over time. Tell stories that illustrate the vision in action, sharing examples of how the vision has started to take shape or how others have contributed reinforces belief and momentum. These stories also make the vision tangible and relatable, turning abstract ideas into lived experiences. Invite others to participate in shaping the vision. When people feel involved in creating the future, they develop ownership and accountability. Leaders encourage feedback, ideas, and collaboration, making vision a collective journey rather than a top-down mandate. Communicate consistently and repeatedly. Vision is not a one-time announcement, but a continuous conversation. Use multiple channels, meetings, emails, informal chats, to reinforce the message. Consistency builds familiarity and trust, making the vision part of the organizational culture. Use confident and passionate language when speaking about the vision. Your tone conveys conviction and excitement, which are contagious. Leaders who speak with genuine enthusiasm ignite similar feelings in their audience, increasing engagement and motivation. Address challenges and uncertainties honestly while maintaining optimism. Leaders who acknowledge obstacles but frame them as opportunities for growth build credibility and resilience. This balanced communication fosters realistic hope and prepares teams to navigate setbacks. Visual aids such as charts, images, or videos can enhance understanding and retention. Many people are visual learners, and well-designed materials help clarify complex ideas and maintain attention. Use these tools strategically to support your verbal message. Encourage questions and dialogue about the vision. Creating space for discussion ensures alignment and uncovers concerns that might otherwise fester. Leaders who listen and respond thoughtfully demonstrate respect and openness, strengthening commitment. Ultimately, communicating vision effectively is about inspiring belief and action. It transforms strategy into shared enthusiasm and direction. Leaders who master this skill guide their teams toward a future that is not only achievable, but also exciting and meaningful. Chapter 16. Handling criticism and feedback. Grow through challenge. Leadership communication is not only about delivering your message, but also about receiving input, especially when it comes in the form of criticism or feedback. Leaders who talk like leaders see criticism not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. They understand that how they respond shapes their credibility, influence, and the culture they create. Handling criticism well is a skill that strengthens resilience and fosters continuous improvement. When faced with criticism, the first step is to listen actively without interrupting or becoming defensive. This can be challenging, but showing openness sends a powerful message that you value others' perspectives, even if they differ from your own. Silence and thoughtful nodding indicate respect and willingness to understand. Avoid reacting emotionally or dismissing feedback outright. Defensive responses often escalate conflict and shut down dialogue. Instead, pause to breathe and reflect on the core message behind the words. Often, criticism contains valuable insights that can reveal blind spots or areas for development. Ask clarifying questions to ensure you fully grasp the feedback. For example, "Can you help me understand what you mean by that?" Or, "What specific changes would you suggest?" These questions demonstrate your commitment to learning and help uncover actionable details. Separate the message from the delivery. Sometimes criticism is delivered harshly or awkwardly, but focusing on the content rather than the tone allows you to extract useful information. This mindset shift helps you maintain professionalism and emotional balance. Express appreciation for honest feedback. Thanking people for their input, regardless of how uncomfortable it may be, encourages a culture of transparency and trust. It shows that you value growth over ego and are committed to becoming a better leader. Reflect privately on the feedback before responding or taking action. Consider its validity, potential impact, and how it aligns with your goals. This thoughtful approach prevents knee-jerk reactions and helps you craft measured responses or improvements. When appropriate, communicate what you learned and the steps you will take. Sharing this with your team or peers builds accountability and demonstrates that feedback leads to positive change. It models humility and dedication, qualities that inspire respect. Develop a thick skin without becoming insensitive. Not all criticism is fair or constructive, so learn to discern which feedback deserves your attention and which should be set aside. This balance protects your confidence while keeping you open to improvement. Encourage a feedback-rich environment by soliciting input regularly. Leaders who invite feedback create safe spaces where people feel empowered to speak up. This openness prevents problems from festering and promotes shared ownership of success. Practice self-awareness to manage your reactions to criticism. Understanding your triggers and emotional patterns allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Techniques such as mindfulness or journaling can enhance this self-regulation. Learn from criticism by identifying patterns over time. If similar issues arise repeatedly, they signal areas that need focused attention or skill development. Embracing this ongoing process of refinement leads to stronger leadership and communication abilities. In conclusion, handling criticism and feedback gracefully is a defining trait of effective leaders. It transforms challenges into growth opportunities and deepens trust within teams. By listening openly, responding thoughtfully, and acting on feedback, you demonstrate maturity and commitment that inspire others to follow your example. Chapter 17. Mastering Nonverbal Communication. Speak without words. In leadership communication, what you say is only part of the message. How you say it often speaks louder. Nonverbal communication, the gestures, facial expressions, posture, and tone, can either reinforce or undermine your words. Leaders who talk like leaders master this silent language because it conveys confidence, sincerity, and authority, often before a single word is spoken. Your body language shapes first impressions instantly. Standing tall with shoulders back projects strength and readiness. A relaxed yet purposeful stance signals calm assurance. Avoiding closed postures like crossed arms or legs keeps you open and approachable. When you lean slightly forward, you show engagement and interest, inviting others into the conversation. Eye contact is a powerful tool in nonverbal communication. Sustained, natural eye contact builds trust and connection. It shows that you are present and confident. Avoiding eye contact can be interpreted as evasiveness or insecurity, while staring too intensely can feel intimidating. Finding the right balance is key to commanding respect while maintaining warmth. Facial expressions communicate your emotions more authentically than words alone. A genuine smile can ease tension and foster rapport, while a furrowed brow may signal concern or seriousness. Leaders regulate their expressions to align with their message, ensuring coherence between what they say and what they feel. The tone and pace of your voice are also critical. A steady, clear voice conveys authority and calm, while variations in pitch add emphasis and interest. Speaking too fast may indicate nervousness, causing listeners to lose track, whereas speaking too slowly risks losing attention. Skilled leaders modulate their tone to keep listeners engaged and underscore important points. Gestures enhance verbal communication by illustrating ideas and emphasizing key messages. Purposeful hand movements can make explanations clearer and more memorable. However, excessive or distracting gestures may undermine your credibility, so use them thoughtfully to support, not overshadow your words. Personal space matters as well. Respecting boundaries shows social awareness and consideration. Invading someone's space can trigger discomfort or defensiveness. Conversely, appropriate proximity fosters intimacy and trust, making your communication more effective. Nonverbal cues also help you read others' reactions. Noticing crossed arms, lack of eye contact, or distracted body language provides clues about engagement or resistance. Responding to these signals by adjusting your approach demonstrates emotional intelligence and adaptability. Mirror your audience subtly to create rapport through nonverbal alignment. This unconscious mimicry fosters connection and makes people feel understood. For example, matching the energy level or posture of the group helps you blend into the dynamic and gain influence. Practice self-awareness to control your nonverbal signals. Record yourself or seek feedback to identify habits that may contradict your intended message. Improving body language is an ongoing process that greatly enhances your leadership presence. In summary, mastering nonverbal communication allows you to speak volumes without uttering a word. It reinforces your message, builds trust, and projects confidence. Leaders who understand and harness this silent language create powerful connections that amplify their spoken words and elevate their influence. Final chapter: Becoming a leader who inspires your voice, your legacy. Leadership is not defined solely by a title or position. It is measured by the impact you leave through your words, actions, and presence. Becoming a leader who inspires requires more than mastering communication techniques. It demands authenticity, courage, and a commitment to continuous growth. Your voice is your most powerful tool, and how you use it shapes your legacy. To inspire others, start by embracing your unique voice. Authenticity resonates far more than imitation. People follow leaders who are genuine and transparent because it builds trust. Know your values, beliefs, and vision deeply, and let them shine through every conversation. When your words align with who you truly are, your influence becomes unstoppable. Cultivate empathy to connect with others on a human level. Great leaders listen not only with their ears, but also with their hearts. Understanding different perspectives and emotions allows you to communicate in ways that uplift and motivate. Empathy fosters loyalty and creates a culture where everyone feels valued and heard. Lead by example. Your actions must back up your words consistently. Integrity, accountability, and resilience are qualities that inspire confidence. When challenges arise, demonstrate calm decisiveness and a positive attitude. Your team will mirror your behavior, amplifying the culture you create. Never stop learning and evolving. The best leaders see leadership as a lifelong journey, not a destination. Seek feedback, embrace challenges, and adapt your communication style as needed. Growth fuels your ability to inspire fresh ideas and innovation. Harness the power of storytelling to embed your vision in people's hearts. Stories transcend facts by engaging emotions and imagination. Share your journey, lessons learned, and dreams for the future to create meaningful connections that motivate action. Encourage others to find and use their voices. Empowerment multiplies leadership impact. Celebrate achievements, foster collaboration, and create environments where diverse ideas thrive. Your legacy is not just what you say, but what you inspire others to say and do. Remember, leadership communication is a living art that evolves with experience. Your voice carries the potential to transform lives, organizations, and communities. Speak with purpose, listen with intention, and lead with heart. In the end, becoming a leader who inspires is about more than talking like a leader. It's about being one. Your words plant seeds of change. Your actions cultivate growth. The legacy you build will echo far beyond your time, lighting the path for those who follow. Thank you for joining this journey into the art of talking like a leader. We've explored powerful communication skills that elevate your presence, build trust, and inspire action. Remember, leadership is not about perfection, but progress. Each conversation is an opportunity to grow, connect, and influence positively. As you move forward, practice these skills daily. Listen deeply, speak clearly, and lead authentically. Your voice is more than sound. It's a catalyst for change. Embrace the responsibility and privilege of leadership. Knowing your words shape the future. If this audiobook has inspired you, share it with others who seek to develop their leadership voice. Together, we can create a world where more leaders communicate with clarity, empathy, and purpose. Keep learning, keep leading, and keep speaking with courage. Thank you for listening. Here's to your success as a confident, inspiring leader.